Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. First of all, happy Diwali to everyone and holidays are on their way. So I hope you are all enjoying your vacations and studying as well. So today we are going to cover Uber front-end engineering interview question and we are going to cover a brute force approach and then slowly move to efficient approach as well. So the question for the day is as such. So we have to find the next largest palindromic number. What is a palindrome? Palindrome is basically a number which is same when read backwards or when it is reversed. If we are speaking in strictly programmatic terms. For example, 1001. So 1001 when reversed or if we read backwards is still 1001. That is why it is a palindrome. So our task is that we have been given as n as an input and we need to find the next largest palindrome. What that means is if we have an input of 1000, then the next largest palindrome after it is the immediately next number, which is 1001, and we need to find it. Now, there are a few approaches to solving this, and we are going to first start off with the brute force approach. And if you don't want to get bored in this tutorial, then here's a meme for you. Like in the interviews, they ask very tough questions. They want you to optimize the code answers, and they ask questions like, "Can you find the depth of a binary tree?" But in the actual work, the difficulty is not that much. And you sometimes get some minimal work, right? Yellow button doesn't work, fix it or change some UI. That's the part of front-end development aspect. But yeah, the interviews are a little bit tougher than actual works is what I feel. Getting into software industry is hard. Working in the software industry by learning and today with ChatGPT is the slightly tough but not that tough as much as cracking your first job. And I am there to help for you to crack your first job. So with that in mind, let's start off with the solution. So here's a pseudocode. So what we are going to do is we are going to first write a function to check whether a given number is palindrome. And how do we check it? We first convert the number, input number into a string, and then we reverse it. And then we check whether the reverse string is same as the input string as well. That is, we reverse the number basically, and then we check whether the number is same. So for reversing, there is no direct function in JavaScript for a number. That is why we convert it to string and then reverse and then compare. The next thing that we do is we calculate the next palindrome. So how do we do it? We take the integer input n, for example, 1000. We take the next new because we are not like considering the current new. We need to find from the next largest. So we take the new and we increment it by 1. And we start checking whether the next successive integer is a palindrome or not. So we pass it to the palindrome function. If it returns true, then we return that number as the next largest palindrome. If not, then we keep incrementing the number until the loop reaches a palindrome. Basically, this is a for loop, which is masked as a while loop. And while it is true, we just check whether a given number is palindrome or not. So yeah, that's the pseudocode. Now let's move to actual coding. So I am going to use CodePen for this. First thing that we need to do is we need to create a function. So we write calculate next palindrome and we take the integer input n. The next thing that we do is we write the utility function to check whether a given number is palindrome or not. So how do we do that? We take the input number new, then we convert it to string using the toString method. So toString method is a built-in method in JavaScript which converts a number to string. Then we take the str which is the string number. We split it using the without any space. So basically we convert it into an array of characters. For example, if it is, let's just say if you have been given 1001 as the input. We first convert it into 1001. Then what we do is we then split it into an array like this 1 0, let's just say 0 and then 1. Then we reverse it using array reverse method and then we will join to join it back. So basically this all what it does is reverses the string and it again reverses the string by converting into an array of characters, then joins it back into a string. Basically just some code to reverse the string. Then we convert it, check it with the actual original string. And if it is same, then we move ahead and write the rest of the code. So let me just remove the code. The next thing that we do is we take the next name as I mentioned, so n plus 1. Then we check whether the next name is a palindrome or not. And if it is a palindrome, then we return the next name directly. And if it is not, then we keep on incrementing the number and we keep on checking whether this is a palindrome or not. And once we find the number, we return that number as the palindrome. So basically, this is a basic function as a brute force approach to find the solution. The next thing that we do is we take the input 1000, then we console.log the next palindrome number and we pass the calculate next palindrome function and we pass the n value. And this returns the output as 1001. So whatever input that you pass, for example, let's just say I change this to 1001, then it will go ahead and calculate the next palindrome after this. So let's just see what it comes up with, and the next palindrome is 4 times 1. So basically all the series of palindromes that comes after it, it will keep on returning. This is a basic brute force approach and the complexity is slightly higher. But this is a good way to approach a problem in an interview because you cannot come up with an efficient solution right away when you're solving the problem for the first time. So come up with brute force approach and then move ahead and do your actual coding, which takes me back to the meme that is on resume. We can write n number of things, we can show n number of skills, but in interviews we face issues. We sometimes blank out, sometimes we have anxiety. So start off with brute force and move ahead and do the actual coding. So yeah, that was the basic approach. And I have written an article on this where I have covered this approach as well. So this article is on Medium and I will share the link. So this was the solution which we just covered. Now comes into time complexity. The time complexity is O k star log n to the log to the base 10 of n, where k is the number of digits in the next palindrome and n is the number of iterations needed to reach that palindrome, which is a lot. Now coming to the efficient approach, what we can do is we can mirror the left half. For example, if we have input as 1000, we can do is we can take the first two digits, which is 10, and we can simply mirror it like 10, reverse it, and then mirror it again, and it will return the palindrome faster. So the mirror palindrome, if it is greater than input number, then we can return it directly. If it is smaller, for example, there are cases where the number might be smaller, then we can increase the left mirror and go on recursively doing it until we find the next possible palindrome. And we have to handle special case here, for example, 999. And in this case, we cannot go into mirroring. We need to increment it, and the next palindrome needs to be 1001. So this is a special case. So with that in mind, this is the code, pseudocode. So we first convert the string to number to string as we did before. We take the num length. Then if there are all nines, then we return 1 followed by n minus 1 zeros. That is, we just pass the next largest palindrome. You can just increment it by 2 if you don't want to do this. Simply increment the 999, increment it by 2 and return it. It will directly return the value. Now in order to get the right function, we take the left up, we create a mirrored palindrome, and then we check whether the mirrored palindrome is greater than. If it is there, then we return it. Also increment the left up and we keep on checking the palindrome again and we keep on iterating until we get the palindrome. So the best possible way in which we can do is simply when it is 9, like there are 999 digits or a number has successive 9 digits, we can just increment it by 2 and it will return the successive palindrome. If not, then we generate the mirrored palindrome. So first we slice the number by half, then we take the first half and we pass it to a generate mirrored palindrome function. So what this does is in case of even length, we simply mirror it. In case of odd length, we keep the middle digit intact. We take the first even digits and then add it to the rest of the digits. We keep the middle digits same. And for example, if it is 124, then we get the output as 131. If it is 999, we simply increment it by 2. So this is the mirrored palindrome approach. I am pretty sure we are not going to come up with this approach on our own when we give this interview question the first try. That is why I'm covering just the approach. But as far as brute force approach is concerned, it is more than sufficient. If the interviewer asks that, do you have an efficient approach, then going to explaining, okay, this is the approach which we can come up with. So this is example. So let's just say we have input as 124. We take the left half, which is 12, and the right half would be such that we keep 2 intact. We take 1 and we append it after 2. So we get the value as 121. But 121 is less than 124. So we again go on incrementing. Then we increment the middle number left half by 1, which is 12 to 13. Then we again append 1 to 13 and it returns 131. And 131 is a palindrome greater than 124. That is why it is returned back. In case of 999, we just increment it by 2. So the time complexity for this is O of n, which is great. And that's the overall working of this question. Now, in this article, I have covered a few more questions like running independent async task in proper sequence, and there is another questions which you can learn. So I have got two questions here, and you can go through them on this Medium article if you are a Medium member. If not, then you can, I think you can read some of the articles for free in the start of the month in on Medium. So you can also try that. So that was a simple short tutorial on the coding part. And yeah, I just got the efficient solution. So I will cover a few more questions like this on over front-end intelligent inter questions in the future as well. So subscribe to the channel so that you get more such content. Like the video, share the feedback. In the previous videos, I was a little boring, I know, but I have tried to make sure that I improve the content and make it as interesting as possible. Covering technical content and keeping it interesting is a hard job, honestly speaking. But I try my best and hope you found this video useful. See you all in the next video. Goodbye.